Yes, first of all, and in no particular order, but I say, you know, this is a possibility that comes first. An exercise in imagination that you would sit down, and if you can draw, fine, draw a character as best you can, or if not, create word pictures of the character, their hair, their face, their body, their style of clothing, and just try to create the physical picture of this character. And then ask your imagination, what kind of person would he be if he or she looked like this, and follow that vivid outer or those outer traits of characterization around, and take them on rides with you in your car, and take this character to the grocery store, and let people think you're schizophrenic. You talk to people, but lead them down and ask them what kind of a grocery cart would he fill? What would be his food choices? And so it's a simple exercise of starting with no particular story in mind, just an assemblage of traits, and including the voice and how this character might talk, and then just have fun taking this character here and there, and to see how the character would behave in certain circumstances. And as you come to know this character, this imaginary character, they'll begin to suggest to you that they have desires, that they might, when you take them in the grocery store, they might want something to eat that would be really surprising, and then you might ask them why, and they might have a reason out of their life history why this food. They begin to have certain desires, and that's when you begin to trace what the character wants. And if you can stay with that character long enough and try one desire versus another to make a list of these things, you may come up with something that will surprise you in terms of what is the character's really deep desire. And once you've got a deep longing, a deep desire in a character, then you can begin to think about, well, what would have to happen in this character's life that would bring that desire so to life that they would have to then begin to pursue it. And so that's an exercise in simply starting with on the outside, with traits, making them specific, getting them to hear, talk to you so you can hear their voice, walking around with them, observing them, and then slowly trying to pull out of them, what do you want, until hopefully something interesting comes up. That's one way to develop another character. Another exercise, there's lots of them. Some people often, and this may strike you as odd, but some people like to start with an animal. And just pick an animal out of the zoo, a rhinoceros, a snake, a fox, a bunny rabbit. And just take an animal and say, if an animal could be a person, and begin to take this snake or this fox or this rhinoceros and begin to develop them into a full-fledged person, just transform them in your imagination. And what would rabbitness and snakeness and rhinocerosness bring to a person, persons as such animals? Some people find that very creative and liberating. A favorite way for me, a third technique, is more abstract. I like characters who are riddled with contradictions. So rather than starting with traits of what they look like or analogies that they're like an animal or something like that, I just try to take two qualities that shouldn't have anything to do with each other, that are opposed, and merge them. So for example, I might just be sitting there one day wondering what would happen if someone who was got a great sense of charity, who constantly loves to help people, seeks out people, and is very generous and gives away everything they have in order to help people. A real Francis of Assisi kind of character. What would happen if this character was a thief? And so he was stealing from one people to give to another, some kind of Robin Hood dimension, but make it unlike Robin Hood, where he just, he took from the rich and gave to the poor. If this guy had a whole different set of who deserves to be stolen from and who deserves to get it, and what, imagining themselves into some kind of urban hero who sees problems in society, people who have nothing, and sees who exploits these people and has everything and then steals from the exploiters to give to the exploited. That's an interesting character. And so I just like to yoke deep contradictions together and see if that, out of that, I could find a really honest, interesting character who may begin to suggest a story that he might want to be protagonist of, or be a sidekick or partner in, or antagonist in. So that's three different ways of creating stories, and there are many others. I'll give you a fourth way. Go see a work of really, it's a good film, let's say, and look at the most interesting secondary character, supporting role, bit part in that film, given a good performance by that actor, and ask yourself, how could I borrow this character from this other film and make him star in my film? And then you just don't steal one character to another work, but do as an inspiration, and so that you can build on that character and change and evolve that character. But sometimes you'll see a bit part in a film that you really think deserves a book or a movie of their own, and why not? Give it to them.